Okay. Hello, my name is Hannah. If you are new here, welcome. If you are not new, welcome back. It has been a second. It was just Thanksgiving here in the US, so I had a very long weekend and I chose not to do anything. Literally all I did for about 5 days was eat and watch the Twilight movies. It was perfect. I also went to Emo Nite, where I incredibly injured my neck and I had a great time. I've also just not been in the mood to make a video the last week or two. It seems almost like a perfect inverse between the amount of effort I put into a video and it doing poorly. Which is not a problem, but it is just damn, this isn't something I'm gonna spend several hours of my week doing this week. So on that note, I'm gonna do a tag video today. I'm gonna do the TBR tag. I did the anti-TBR tag a couple weeks ago and just kind of ended up feeling like a hater the whole time. Maybe this will be fun. So I'm just gonna leap right in with the questions for the TBR tag. So the first question is, how do you keep track of your TBR? Goodreads mostly for me. It's a very boring answer. I would love to try the story graph. There's just something about importing data from Goodreads and the fact that people are like, yeah, it's not completely accurate. I don't know why that wigs me out so bad. But at least here, these shelves, I don't know if anyone has clocked how little these move and how much these move around, because I have read all of the books on the bottom 2 tiers and everything on top of the case I have not read. And at least for my book Instagram, which if you want to follow it, for some reason I just hardly ever post pictures of books that I haven't read on there. So I'm like, what if that book sucks? I don't want to be tying my identity to a bad book. So I use a lot of these books for my book Instagram, which means they all get scooted around a lot. There is absolutely no organization down here or up here. The only organization is unread read, if that's interesting. Second question was, is your TBR mostly print or ebooks? Kind of neither. So I don't even know how many books I have up here. I think probably 50 some. But when I add a book to my TBR, I'm not adding a copy of a book. I'm adding the idea of a book. So these are all on my TBR, but there's also 200 more that are also on my TBR. Oh my god, 250 more, whatever. There will be books on my TBR on Goodreads that I've never physically seen a copy of in my life. But I want to read it. How do you decide which book from your TBR to read next? I talked before about how set monthly TBRs are totally not an option for me, because so much of my reading is audiobooks and ebooks, and basically all of those come from either Libby or NetGalley or Hoopla. So either from the library or NetGalley, and I have very little control on the timing on those. But as to what I put on hold, because on my library card on Libby, I get 5 loans and 10 holds at a time, which I'm why would I ever want 5 books at once? Just give me more holds. Something will usually get put on hold if there's an upcoming adaptation I want to be ready for. I sound like a broken record. Or if it's something that comes with a really earnest and direct recommendation from someone I know, I'll maybe fast track those a little more. As for my physical TBR, it's kind of a crapshoot because I read so few physical books that it's just kind of, all right, who's next? A book that has been on your TBR the longest. This one, there is a handful, I think 4 or 5 books on my TBR on Goodreads that have been there since I was in high school. They've been there since 2013, 2014. That's actually going to be a reading goal of mine in 2022, is to read all of those books, because I just do not want to carry them into 2023, because there's something about having a book on my TBR for 10 years that just is so embarrassing to me. Of those, I have physical copies of all of them. Hold on. Oh god, I'm really gonna fuck this up. Oh, I'm playing such a dangerous game here. A couple off the top of my head that I know, because I have purchased physical copies of all of these books just to, like, force myself to look at them. And among those are Leaves of Grass, this, like, library shrink wrap copy that I have by Walt Whitman, and Brideshead Revisited by Evelyn Waugh. Why this was on my radar when I was in high school, I have no idea, but god damn it, I'm gonna read it next year. A book you recently added to your TBR. I don't know the most recent off the top of my head, but I know this within the last week or so. I added The Beauty Myth by Naomi Wolf. That's another goal for 2022, is to, like, work more nonfiction back in to my reading, because it's been kind of suffering this year. I'm not sure exactly why, but I just feel like I'm reading less nonfiction. I don't have the stats to back that up. A book you added to your TBR strictly because it has a beautiful cover. This is something I actually do really frequently. I'm not a big cover buyer, but I am a big cover add to TBR. And I find they kind of fall into, like, two camps. So there's, like, the really colorful and graphic camp. The Gallows Pole by Benjamin Myers. Love. Ooh, I have that one. Love by Roddy Doyle. I love this cover. The Everlasting by Katie Simpson Smith. Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke by Eric LaRocca. And The Bonefire by Georgi Dragoman. Those are all ones that I saw the cover and went, ah. And then there's, like, the opposite end of the spectrum of book covers that I love that are, like, old photos. So For the Good Times by David Keenan, Music, Love, Drugs, War by Geraldine Quigley, To Shake the Sleeping Self by Jedediah Jenkins, and Leading Men, which I also have. Oh my god. Leading Men by Christopher Castellani. There's just something about the people on the dock here that I'm just, like, I'm completely obsessed with. I don't know. That's to name a couple. A book that isn't on my TBR but is my favorite book cover of all time is a cozy mystery about a dog, I imagine, called Antiques Wanted. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen. I saw it when I was working at the bookstore still. It was like, I had to freeze for like 2 full minutes and just like, oh my god. And this next question is another one of those that just seems absolutely pathological to me, and that is a book on your TBR that you never actually plan on reading. None. That to me, like, defies the purpose of a TBR. Why is it on there then? I don't know. I have at least, like, the slight inclination to read all of these. Like, I have a couple hundred books on my TBR, but I read, especially the last couple of years, less so this year, but I read of like 100 books a year. So having a couple hundred books on my TBR, while annoying and probably insurmountable, is not like technically impossible. Like, sometimes I'll add a book to my TBR not knowing much about it, but when it comes time to like actually look into it and like read the description, and if it sounds like something I don't actually want to read, I take it off the list. It doesn't just stay there. I don't know. Maybe that's just me being like a total stick in the mud, but I don't get it. An unpublished book on your TBR that you are excited for. I sound like a broken record ever since I started making videos, but literally The Thorn of Eberlane by Scott Lynch. Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. Those are like 2 really big ones that are coming out next year. Okay, a book on your TBR that everyone has read but you. I got a little scientific with this. On Goodreads. I love this feature on Goodreads. You can sort by all these different parameters. And I went to my TBR shelf and I sorted by, I think, number of ratings or number of reviews or something. It just listed it most to least. So literally, very scientific here. Let me get them down. So the biggest one, and probably the most embarrassing one, is 1984 by George Orwell. I have read the first 30 pages of this book probably 5 times. This is one of those, another one from the list of, has been on my TBR for almost a decade. I will be reading it. My copy is gross and beat up because when I worked at a movie theater in college, and there was just like butter all over everything I owned for a period of time. So like the cover is stained and the back is stained, but I still haven't read it. Embarrassing. Another one, embarrassing, is The Little Prince by, oh god, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. I got this cute little German-English bilingual edition when I was studying in Germany. I was like, I'm gonna start reading books in German, and then I forgot how to speak German, so I guess I'm just gonna read the English half. Damn it. As well as, there's a lot of classics on there, like Sense and Sensibilities, probably the biggest one, and The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I'm like, just curious enough. I'm gonna partake. Next is a book on your TBR that everyone recommends to you. There's a couple. Parable of the Sower. I'm not getting any more books down. Parable of the Sower's up here. I have a friend who recommends me N.K. Jemisin a lot. When I was in Ireland and I was working at a bookstore in Ireland, I got talking with a couple of my coworkers there, and I had never heard of Noughts and Crosses, and they were like really shocked by that. And then, yeah, they all told me that I really need to read it, and I still haven't, but I intend to. The second to last question in the tag is a book on your TBR that you're dying to read. To Paradise by Hanya Yanagihara. I read A Little Life a couple years ago, and I read The People in the Trees a couple months ago. So I'm like officially a Hanya Yanagihara devotee, and I have the arc for To Paradise. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. That is like my utmost priority right now, is finishing the ebook I'm currently reading so I can get to Paradise. And the final question on the TBR tag is the number of books on your TBR. As of this afternoon, making sure all my notes were here, the number is 315, which is kind of a lot. I don't understand how people can have like 20 books on their TBR at a time. Like, surely you have more than that on your radar, whatever. I used to try to keep it under 100, but then working in a bookstore full-time really torpedoed that, so that doesn't happen. But I think now my game is to just keep it so I have read more books than I want to read. But I also know those numbers creep up at really different paces, so I don't know. I don't think it matters. But yeah, that's what I'm going with for now until it stops working. That is all I have today. So yes, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.